Hey everybody, it's Dr. David. Hope you are doing okay today. It's Hurricane Day here in the Tampa and Florida Peninsula area of the world. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the what hurricanes can do to our children and the stressors that can be put on what we can be doing as adults to help things go as smoothly as possible, recognizing that there's still a lot of unknowns out there. In the Tampa area, it seems as if we may be missing the worst of it, but I know that we have patients who are straight in the path of this hurricane. And of course, we wish our best to everybody, that everybody makes it through safe and gets over this as soon as possible. And so, to everybody out there, I know the listeners is too, not just our patients. So please stay well. But I did want to talk about this very important topic today. So parents are often asking, like, well, what can we do to help our child through a natural disaster or other type of disaster? And unlike a lot of other disasters that happen, hurricanes are one of the things that we can prepare for. I know that we've all been making our preparations, and we will continue to do so. And so we have a time difference this time, and also there's usually a finite end to when this will end. Although the aftermath, of course, can be quite ugly for some people. Um, but this does also lead to a lot of stress. I'm sure we've all had stress leading up to a hurricane or other type of big storm, and of course, how we are often will affect how our children are, because of course we are their leader, we are their love, we are the person that they look to for support in times like this. So one of the important things for us is to really make sure that we're on top of this, because whether it's not just the time leading up, but obviously a hurricane can last for a long time. It's looking as if it may be sitting over central Florida for more than 24 hours or so. So this is going to be going on for a while. And of course, whatever kind of stressful work that may be that has to be done afterwards, whether it's dealing with a real horror or calamity, whether it's cleaning up the yard afterwards, whether it's taking care of any damage to any property that did happen, even if it was minor, just restoring our home back to our home, right? We often do so many things. Whether it's putting up shutters, moving furniture, putting food, putting things away, making storage things happen. So it takes time afterwards to be getting our life back to offer. So, one of the things that the kids have seen is um, us making our preparations for this, and sometimes, and of course, even for the day leading up to the storm, it could be very helpful to have them even be a little bit involved, so that they feel like they're part of the team. We don't want to stress them. We don't want to make them do things, but just kind of make them be feel useful, especially since I know a lot of people are home these days of the storm. Um, but it can also be really confusing for a child to see all this going on. We're constantly checking our news sources, often every 3 hours, to see what the last little switch in the forecast will be. And so this can be really confusing to a child to not know, exactly. It's their routine is off. They see us worry, so we can. So one of the most important things that we can do as adults is stay calm. Do whatever is necessary to present a calm and reassuring appearance to your child. That's the most important thing that we can say to our children, is to keep on reiterating to them that we are there to protect them. We are there to keep them safe. We are there to help them through it. Okay. Now, be mindful about conversations that adults may be having with other adults. Our kids are obviously listening if they are in earshot. Um, we want to not keep our TV on. Um, I remember going through past storms and, like, or going places, and there's like a 24-hour feed on this, sometimes showing the same story over and over. But sometimes it's showing very scary images, especially when we see pictures of destruction, or when we see a news person standing out in a 100-mile-an-hour wind, getting the crap beating out of themselves because of this wind battering them. And of course, that can be really scary for a kid to see something like that happening. So, really try to keep those types of things to a minimum. If you keep it on your phone, if you keep it to where they're not going to be hearing it, use a Bluetooth earset if you need to, just to try to avoid them from having that extra exposure. Now, also for ourselves, we can be using stress relieving techniques, whatever we have. Doing, meditation, deep breathing, relaxation breathing, the simple counting in, breathing in for four, holding for four, letting out for four, practicing it with the child. Let them do part of that as well in case they need to have some of that extra relief. By all means, if you have medical cannabis available to you because you have it for anxiety, this is a could be a very helpful thing for that. You may need to up the dose in order to accomplish what the needs are. If you are taking other kinds of medications, you have prescriptions for anti-anxiety. If you need it, use it. Don't be a hero, even if you don't like to use it all the time. Drink calming teas like chamomile tea, sleepy time tea, which is my favorite, with a little bit of honey, using essential oils like lavender that have calming effects as well. And also do whatever you can to get a good night's sleep for yourself so you are on your A game. Obviously, we want our kids to sleep well. Storms often happen in the middle of the night. And of course, things like earplugs can be helpful, or just other types of calming music or the kind of sound canceling types of devices or sounds. Now, of course, then there's the children ourselves. Now, during and following a storm, they can have a lot of reactions, and this can depend on their age, their level of development, or their past experiences with storms or other types of trauma. Typical, they may have different kinds of reactions. They may be starting to express their concerns and worries about the safety of others, including their caregivers, parents, siblings, pets, etc. They may start to show difficulty concentrating, and this can be happening in the days afterwards, after going through a traumatic event. They could even have angry outbursts. They may seem irritable at times. They may have some physical complaints that they may say tummy aches, headaches, etc. That's certainly one of the ways that children can manifest stress and anxiety in the weeks leading up to it, especially if things were rough for you, watching their school performance, making sure that you're not seeing any drop off. May see increased sensitivity to loud fears. If they went through a lot of thunder and lightning and wind sound, that maybe turn it on my own self after having abandoned my car. This is about 15 years, no, this is about 20 years ago, in a storm and having to walk home in a knee deep water with lightning all around me. And I had PTSD. I still have PTSD to this day, and storms really kind of freak me out. Um, which is also part of why we came down to South Florida to be with my parents, help them out, but also to kind of get away from that because I know I don't do well in those situations, even with medication. Um, You may see changes in children's sleep patterns. You may see changes in their appetite, a lack of interest. If you're seeing any of these things, please reach out to a medical professional, mental health professional. Seek guidance with this because we don't want to let that set in because they can be dramatic. We saw what COVID did to us, and that was obviously not nearly the type of acute mental trauma that could be happening from this. Um, Now, of course, how can we meet our children's needs? Now, they're going to have lots and lots of questions during and after a storm. Our job as parents is to help them understand. Now, they may ask the same question over and over, especially younger children or children with special needs. Be patient with them. This is their way of processing it. Also, keep your answers simple. Okay, we want to be truthful, but we want to keep it simple. Let a child lead the conversation. Okay, there's no need to provide great detail for them unless they have follow up questions. And of course, if you have a special needs child, you know your child best. You know what is best, what you can share. You know the types of calming activities that will be working best for your child. So, of course, I know that this brings a whole nother level of stress to a family with a special needs child. But of course, as we've been talking about, any child can have these types of issues, and we want to be really mindful of that. Um, these types of symptoms that the kids have, this is part of their coping mechanism. So it's important to just be there for them. Also, be prepared, especially for older children and adolescents. They may not want to talk about this at all. They may just want to go inside. They may just want to be chatting with their friends. Hopefully, they can maintain their social networks to help themselves make it through it, kind of like they did through the long term of COVID. But continue to also reassure your children that they will be safe and they will be protected. We will do everything we can to keep them safe and protected. You may have to repeat this over and over to them, especially as the storm is passing, especially if they have secondary calamities as a relationship to the storm. Now, also there are things that we could be doing, like keeping our children moving. You know, So often during a storm, everybody's just like kind of on the couch, hanging out and worrying. Do whatever kind of activities you can. Not, certainly playing games, card games, singing songs together, reading books, but even getting the children moving. Get yourself moving. Whether it's doing some kind of exercise routine, where you doing jumping jacks and just running in place, those types of things. If if everything is safe to do so, playing hide and go seek, but things keep things moving, keep the blood going. That's another way of keeping them occupied. Now, if the power does go off, it's a good time to talk about community and how there are other people out there who are there to help us. There are professionals whose job is to get things right as soon as possible. But also spend some time, you can talk about the community at whole. That if there's issues that we have, we know that there are people in the community who will help us. But also this is a good time to recognize that we could be in a position to help other people who may have gone through a more difficult time through a storm, and that maybe as the days are afterwards, they can use our help, whether it's financial, time, food donations, etc. All right. Well, again, the most important thing that we can be doing again is also, just besides calm, but also remain optimistic, even in the most stressful situations. How your outlook is, this is okay. We're going to get through it. It's going to be better than it is now. That does go a long way in helping them feel more confident and secure, so that they can they can help out themselves out, and we can help them. All right. Well, a little bit more of a somber video than I'm used to making, but I thought it was appropriate for what we're dealing with. So I hope that this helps you. Hope that this helps your child, and hope that you all make it through just nice and safe, and on to a brighter tomorrow. Have a nice day.